Hey everybody, Buzz Miller, Wannabe Studios. I haven't picked up a guitar in a long time because I've been stuck behind the console being a mastering engineer. Took today off, going to play a little guitar, and I'm going to teach you about the dirty blues. Now what are the dirty blues? There's really not a dirty blues genre. It's kind of a Texas blues with a little bit of a hard rock pinch in there. Do we really want to chase the blues and spend our next 2 years on learning blues, chord progressions, and all this kind of stuff? Not really. If you are, maybe you'll learn a little here and then go on a search and become a blues man. Most of us are hard rock guys. We want to be able to play just enough that people go, oh, hey, he can play some blues. 6 quick steps to learning the dirty blues. Before we do that, the sound of the dirty blues is a little bit too much distortion for a standard blues thing. I love listening to Gary Moore when he's playing and B.B. King's playing. B.B. King has almost no sustain, but he's got a ton of punch and a ton of presence on his sound. And then Gary Moore will come in with a ton of punch, a ton of presence, and sustain galore because he's pushing a lot of distortion to it. We're going to push a lot of distortion to it, but I'm going to play with my Megadeth sound. I'm going to put it on the front pickup. I'm going to roll the volume back a bit, and that's going to give me kind of a lower, take a little of the shiny highs off of it, lower register, and that's going to be my sound for the dirty blues. If you want to go chase the sound, again, that's a lifelong pursuit to get the perfect blues sound. This, good enough for screwing around with my friends. First thing, let's get dirty. We as shredders, we try so hard to play everything perfect. We don't want to make one mistake. We don't want to hit one string wrong. Forget all that. You want to hit the strings, you want to scrape the strings, you want to make a lot of extra noise. You don't want to go hit another extra string and let it ring a little. As long as your note, the one you want out there, is out there, hit some extra stuff. Scratch a little. Run up and down the neck. Make some extra noise. Let's get dirty. This is the one time we can do it. If you do that as a shredder, people are going to go, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. He's just sloppy. We can do it here. The next thing, don't forget the blues. Now, I am not going to get into all of the different chords, progressions, and scales of a real blues man. I'm going to tell you about the rock blues scale. What is that? Go into A minor. We're going to play in our position, and we're going to add one note to our 5. The one note is a flat 5th. This is not a destination note. You are not going to end your solo and go, it just sounds wrong. But it's a great transition note. So if you're coming down like this, add some texture and kind of gives it a haunting, I'm almost tripping, and then when it goes to a note you're familiar with, it resolves. You're adding texture to that. That's all that does. Again, it's up here. The next thing we're going to do, don't forget your modes. We as shredders, we love our modes and we study them and we follow them and we love to play them at all speeds. What is our mode for A minor? What notes did we add? That sounds terrible. That sounds terrible. Again, not necessarily destination notes, but transition notes. We're up here. We're playing those 4 notes, and everyone in the audience is sick of hearing those 4 notes. We want to give it a little texture. Add our modal notes, which are into there and go. That is actually that. So if you played the mode 1 set lower. Not a destination note, but a great transition note to add some texture and go. The next thing we're going to do is follow the fourth. What is the fourth? We bend that a lot. One of the reasons that this position of the minor pentatonic is so popular, every one of these notes, we bend one step to get to the next note. And we're going to bend the fourth one step a lot. There are 4 notes we can play with that to add a real dimension to just that note. And they're right here. They're our final 4 of our pentatonic. So, have you ever heard this before? We're bending that note to that and playing that note in the root. And the deviation as we're bending it in and out kind of gives it a... You've certainly heard that in the blues. Next note we're going to do is off of our pinky. This is very popular with a lot of the rock stuff. Go back to Lynyrd Skynyrd and you're going to hear it all the time. So we're a couple of times I hit the next highest note, which we're going to do next. So we've got this one back to the other index finger. And then we've got, you can actually do the double stop, play both of those notes up top rather than just one. However you want to do it. Again, that one's real popular with like Jimi Hendrix. The next thing, don't stop here. Why do we keep ourselves in such a box where we go? We want to end our solo off of that note. Make it dirty. Why do we always end there? Let's go to the next lowest note, or even further, and add some dimension. So we're going now. Go down when we're here. Don't stop there. Slide up. This is one octave of, and if you take it an octave down lower, you're back to that note we just added. So if you learn a cool little ditty, there, play it in all the locations. Don't stop. There's no invisible wall that says you can't go any lower than that note when you're playing a minor pentatonic in the root position. The last one is move the third. Now our third is here, and so often it becomes a transition note. Don't just leave the third there. Move it. Now, you got to be careful. You can't move it too far. If you're playing over an A7, there's your note. Now you can bend a half step up to that. If that's not your chord you're playing over, don't bend it a half step. Bend it a quarter step. Just bend it enough to do a little vibrato one time. Move it just enough to give it some tension, to give it a little bit of texture, rather than just playing. Give it a little bit of texture. Move that third. I hope that's taught you a little bit. If you practice those things, the next time you get with your band or your friends and they start jamming on a blues tune, you won't feel left out. You can at least know where to go to fake it to make people think, hey, this guy can play the blues. And if you really love it, then go chase it and learn the real blues and learn all the textures, all the chord progressions, all the different scales and notes to be a real blues man. But if you're like me, just want to know enough to get in trouble. Thanks for watching. Keep on rocking.